Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Education for Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. I would like to start out by reminding everyone that this meeting will be live streamed as per policy number 7. Regular and special meetings of the board may be streamed live, archived, and accessed online. The board reserves at its sole discretion via motion at any meeting the right to not stream live or archive a meeting or a portion of a meeting. Further, the board reserves the right to edit any recorded portion of the meeting. I would like to first begin by inviting Michael Kelly Gabriel from Kwantlen First Nation.
Nations from Kwantlen, Katesy, Semiemu, and Matskui here in this home. We always start with that prayer song. We stand up for that national anthem. This is the national anthem of our people. We always start the day off with that prayer. I had a chance to sit down with my Uncle Stephen. I have to share this because maybe some of you might need to hear this teaching. Drum to us is the heartbeat of all living people. I asked my Uncle Stephen when I was 17, why are people so drawn to this drum? He said, nephew, you remember when you're being brought into this world inside your mom's womb? Did you hear being brought into this world during those 9 months? Mother's heartbeat. The drum to us is the heartbeat of all living people from around the world. We all have that heartbeat. Even if you don't feel it, you can close your eyes, touch your chest, and you can remember what your mom's heartbeat sounded like. But we always start our meetings off with that prayer. Because once again, we don't know how far each and every one of you have traveled to join us here today. If it's close, or if it's far. But at that same time, it's also the heartbeat of our ancestors that we still continue to pray to every single day, that continue to guide our nation. When we share these prayer songs, these seats are empty. They fill up with our ancestors. So I just wanted to make sure before my dear family speaks that prayer, that the ancestors are in this room, so that those words come from the purest part of their heart. Because us as Homo people, we speak from our heart right now. You have to listen with your heart. You don't listen with your heart and just with your mind, those words go over your head. So the song that I'm going to share with you here today is a song that you heard if you ever came to our community. It's our Kwantlen community song. It came to us from a beautiful man named Kelsey Charlie from Stehalis, up near Hope, this community up there. He came down to our community in Kwantlen. We live in Fort Langley, right over the Green Bridge on the right side on McMillan Island. We're surrounded by the Fraser River. It flows around us, even underneath us, because we have seepage as well. Floodplain lands. This man, he had that gift of hearing the songs that come from the land and come from the water. He could hear things that not anybody could hear. Songs are always dancing, is what his mom says. He went for a walk with one of our archaeologists, Tony Dandran. He's our caretaker of our lawn house now. And as he went for a walk with his daughter, Danessa, to the tip of our island, we're surrounded by the Fraser River. He saw a wave bounce against the shore. He heard this prayer. He went to the tip and he watched the log float down the stream. Watched the log spin around 2-3 times. Caught this prayer. He knew that it wasn't meant for him to keep, so he brought it to our Siam, our leader of our community, which is my mom, Stackwasan, Greg Chief Stackwasan, Marilyn Gabriel. And he said, whenever you welcome friends, family, guests, or you need to ground people for a meeting or ceremony, this is a song that I want you to sing. Because it came from your living, breathing, soft mother, sacred land. So I wanted to slow everybody down just a little bit because we're always on a schedule. And whenever you come to our nations, the elders are the schedule. Our matriarchs are the schedule. We don't know what anybody's going through behind closed doors today. So I want to offer that in prayer. I want to thank the choir that beautiful. Those three beautiful songs really touched my heart. I know it did that for everybody here. I just want to honor our ancestors, the people that walked before, because we've been here since time immemorial. Make sure that they're still in this room as well. I hold my hands up to the superintendent, the board. Thank you for having my family here. Watlin, sitting back there. Thank you for having us here. Thank the ones that are doing the works on the side here. Thank all of you for being here today. A lot of the work are behind the scenes, but don't get thanked enough. Slow you down. I'm going to share this prayer for each and every one of you here today. And I'm going to let my brothers speak because I love my brothers so much. That's why I'm here. It's for my brother here. I said, Garcia, each and every one of you, thank you for this time. Just slow down a little bit.
Thank you very much, Michael, for being here. And it's always an honor when you're here and we hear such wisdom from you. And I do really appreciate you coming this evening. I'd like to begin I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Langley Board of Education at 7:14 p.m. And start out by first acknowledging that the Langley School District is located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Matsqueak-Kwantlen, Katzie, and Semiahmoo First Nations. We gather here tonight in an understanding of the importance of Yayastul Skeki eyes, working together, not samat, let samat, uniting ourselves with one mind, one heart, to ensure that we support and inspire all learners to reach their full potential. Just before we move on to our next item, I'd like to do some introductions of our partner groups joining us this evening, as well as staff, trustees, and special guests, honored guests. First of all, from the Board of Education, myself, Chair Candy Ashdown, Trustee Holly Dickinson, Trustee Charlie Fox, Trustee Joel Neufeld, Trustee Sarbrai, Trustee Tony Ward, Trustee Marnie Wilson, Superintendent Mal Gill, Secretary Treasurer Brian Isley, Deputy Superintendent Woody Bradford, Assistant Superintendent Lisa Langeberry, Assistant Superintendent Marcella Moino, Director of Communications Joanne Abshire, Executive Assistant Judy Swanson, Technical Support Specialists 3, both Hol Baboa and Vincent Montefrio, District Principal of Aboriginal Education Mike Pugh. We have Luke Dandurand here this evening, our Aboriginal support worker and son of Josette Dandurand. From QP 1260, Tompkins, acting president. We have Alicia Rumpel from the Langley, sorry, I can't read it, from
DPAC member at large.
From DPAC, but
Chief member.
Member at large. Okay, yeah. And sorry, Chantel House. Sorry, having a hard time reading Brian's.
Sorry.
Brian's writing here. Chantel House, treasurer of DPAC as well. Thank you. And have I missed anybody from? We do have from LPVPA Vice President Kathy Gracie, LTA Vice President Nancy Peterson, Kim Miller, LTA Vice President. I hope, and have I missed anybody? I hope I haven't. And then we do have special guests here as well from Kwantlen First Nations. And I'd like to again welcome Luke Dandurand and Tara Dawson, Michael Kelly Gabriel, Linda Mitchell, Carrie Antone, Donna Gabriel Robbins, and Brad Robbins. And thank you everybody for coming out this evening. Okay, I'd like to hand over to Vice Chair Wilson just for a quick report of in camera.
Hi, we have two meetings to report on. At the December 3rd, 2024 special in-camera meeting, the board discussed property, and at tonight's meeting, the board discussed personnel and property.
Thank you. Trustees, you have the consent agenda in front of you. Could I please have a motion that the Board of Education adopts the consent agenda items as provided? Moved by Trustee Neufeld, seconded by Trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Next, we have consideration of the agenda. Could I please have a mover that the agenda be approved as presented? Moved by Trustee Dickinson, seconded by Trustee Rye. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Right. And now moving along to a very exciting item on our agenda this evening. Tonight, it is my great pleasure to announce the name of the future elementary school in the Northeast Latimer neighborhood on the Willoughby Slope. The board has chosen, I'm going to get emotional now looking over at you. The board has chosen Josette Dandurand Elementary School as the name for the future elementary school. The late Josette Dandurand, whose ancestral name was Suquia, I hope I said that okay, which means she who always remembers, was born and raised in Vancouver, BC. Josette was the youngest of 6 siblings of George and Mabel Fillardeau. She was a member of the Kwantlen First Nation and lived most of her early and latter years on Kwantlen First Nation Reserve. Sadly, Josette Dandurand passed away in November 2023. Like many Indigenous people, Josette had a challenging and traumatic childhood, having survived 3 residential schools, St. Mary's, Seashelt, and Cooper Island. She endured unthinkable events that no child should have ever gone through. She was always brave, resilient, and proud to be Indigenous, qualities which she carried throughout her life as an advocate for social justice and Indigenous rights, and as a dedicated leader in the journey of truth and reconciliation. When she was 18, she joined the Royal Canadian Air Force and became an air traffic controller. During this time, she met her husband, Mark Dandurand, and later had 3 children and raised them on military bases across Canada and what was formerly known as West Germany. Josette was a loving, caring mother to her own children, but she was also an influential matriarch throughout her life for many younger people in her community. In 2015, Josette, along with her son Luke Dandurand, an SD35 Aboriginal support worker, and Cecilia Reiki, an SD35 cultural presenter, traveled to Ottawa to provide testimony of her experiences in residential schools as part of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada, TRC. Although reliving the pain and suffering was not easy, she returned to Langley to share her stories. Josette was a cultural presenter in the Langley School District. As an educator and elder, she shared her experiences with students and staff in classrooms all over the district. Her passion for teaching through story extended outside of Langley, as she had engaged with other school districts and community groups, as well as was a connector, bringing Indigenous and non-Indigenous people together. Josette has left a positive legacy in the district and has been a true example of the district's core values of integrity, excellence, courage, and community. The Board of Education is grateful for the positive impact she has had and continues to have in our school community. Because of her dedication to the student, staff, and the greater Langley community, the board believes her name will serve well for the future elementary school in the Northeast Latimer area. Joining the board this evening is Luke Dandurand, her son, who will speak on behalf of the family. Welcome, Luke.
OCM, HYL, Misep Kotwilam Tana Tamo, Antha Wainuk, Antha Luke Dandrand, Tamanas Safquia, Tamanas Josette Dandrand, Tinitzina Quatland, Quam Quam Set, Quam Quam Tashwali, Quam Quam to Quatland. I just want to say, a big Hachka, CM, a big Sepka, asking you how are you today in our Hunkaminam language, our downriver dialect that we speak at Kwantlen. Welcome to our land and territory. My name is Wayanuk Luke Dandrand. I am the son of Sathquia, the son of Josette Dandrand. We are from Kwantlen First Nation, and this is Kwantlen, and we are strong in our heart, strong in our mind, and Kwantlen is strong. I learned Hunkaminam because that's what my mama wanted. And I sure do miss her. That's what she wanted when we came back from Ottawa and spoke here in 2015, is that she wanted Hunkaminam to be revitalized. I wanted to be normalized. And she also taught me how to forgive. And that was the most difficult moment in my life, is to give forgiveness for how we were treated or how we continue to be treated. My mom was the one who taught me how to teach how to forgive, and I only forgave because of that's what she wanted. And all she wanted was friends too. That's what I've learned along my 16 years here at the school district and the beginning of Truth and Reconciliation in 08 and being there in Ottawa in 2015. Reconciliation is really about friendship. That's all it's about. And you're our friends now. You're our family now. You know, we're truly practicing what we preach of Yah is still working together, not so much one heart, one mind. I can't teach it to you. I can only tell you what it feels like. And today is a beautiful day. This is what healing feels like. This is what friendship feels like. This is what family feels like. And I want to raise my hands and thank you from the bottom of my, you helped my soul heal. You're helping me heal. You're helping our family or our nation. And then the thousands and thousands of people she's helped from coast to coast to coast just by sharing her story. I want to thank you for honoring one of our strongest matriarchs we've seen in a long, long time, in generations. Shwaiwal now, Shwale eat Sayak. It's generations, but when we're learning Hunkaminam, when we're learning our downriver dialect, is not literal translations, all based on our shared living experiences. And that's the beautiful part about it being a teacher. So that every story contains the same value and same strength. Doesn't matter if you're indigenous or not. That's what we learned during reconciliation. And that's why it's going to be so beautiful at my mom's school. Sound has a nice ring to it. Josette Dandran Elementary. Doesn't that sound great? I can't wait. I want all the secretaries to do it with a big smile too. Josette Dandran Elementary. Someone's going to put me on a story. I always wanted to be on a story. Can't wait to be in a story. So I'm just, yeah, I'm over the moon. Like, I wish everyone could feel what it's like to heal when you're grieving and mourning. And I know I can stand here with incredible strength and pride and resilience. Her wings are on me right now. They've been on me since she passed. I want to extend it to everyone else so that we can help those that need to be helped. That's what that school is going to do. And she loved the little ones. She loved little feathers. I think we need to bring little feathers back. I want to bring that back so we can help those young families. Those families need our help. They need to hear Mama's story. They need to hear our story. They need to hear other people's stories with a good heart and good mind. So thank you for healing us. Thank you for doing this. And I'll never ever forget this day. Such a beautiful day. It truly is a beautiful day. Hachka Siam Hesepka. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Luke, for your words and honoring your mom. We're going to take a short break just so everybody can just have a few hugs. I think we all need that, and I can wipe my eyes a little bit here too. So we'll take a 5-minute break and be back.
You are the only one, the final flying fly, soar to the sky. Hey, oh, You are the only one, the final flying fly, soar to the sky. Hey, oh, you are the only one, the final flying fly, soar to the sky.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. All right, so let's move along our agenda now. It's going to be hard to sit through the rest of the meeting after that exciting announcement, and what a great evening to be part of. Next on our agenda is superintendent's reports, and I'm going to pass this along to Superintendent Gill for 8.1 Odyssey Professional Development Day.
Thank you, Chair Ashdown. Just certainly want to reiterate it's a beautiful day. A great day for Langley School District and a great day for the Dandran family. And so pleased that the school will be named after Josette and aptly. So just again, a great day. And to kind of keep moving along the theme of relationships and learning, we have District Principal Mike Pugh here this evening, who's going to speak to us about Odyssey Professional Day. And I'll let him talk a little bit about the connection between what we've just heard and the work that we're doing at Odyssey.
There you go. Thank you. Just there it is. And I'm honored to be here, honored to witness what just happened. I had the opportunity earlier today. I was going through some old files I had looking at our leadership conference, and I came across this video where they asked the ancestors, the elders at the meeting, what would you want to tell younger you? And what would you tell, what do you want to tell the kids today? What message do you want them to take home? And there in the middle of the video was Josette. And Josette's statement, some people had these whiteboards and they'd written all sorts of things all over them. And Josette's message was very simple. And that was, get as educated as you can. Because education was important to her and learning was important. And she cared so deeply about kids and about the success of Indigenous students in particular, but also of all students. And the reason I bring that to highlight here tonight is that this is what Odyssey is about. The Professional Development Day to learn more, to focus on the success of Indigenous students, and to come together in community, to learn together, to get educated together. And so I'm here on behalf of the Odyssey Planning Committee, who George Kozlovic, Director of Instruction, would also want to be here this evening, but unfortunately was unable to join us. And so I'll take you on a journey of where we have been, where we're getting to, and what to expect this year. I want to start by sharing a little of how I've tried to frame this presentation. Really, it's about exploring our own identities, that it's a journey, takes patience, courage, and humility, and that those important teachings emerge through stories. And that comes from the BCTF Aboriginal Ways of Knowing and Being document. And those connect back to what you've seen before, those First Peoples principles of learning. Those guiding principles we follow around learning takes patience and time. It involves recognizing the consequences of one's actions. It's embedded in memory, history, and story. And I go back to the consequences of one's actions. We often think of that as, when we talk about consequences, as negative steps. Look at the consequences of our actions this evening after we name a school after a Kwantlen member. An individual who probably told you that they never would have expected that. And what that does for the community, what that does for the Kwantlen people specifically, for the family, but for all of us to now be able to carry forth her memory in the work we do. And it goes back to those guiding principles that Luke highlighted. This idea that we always want to be working together. That when we do work together as a team, we are better than when we try to do it individually. And so in the upriver dialect of Hulkamalum, Skeko Yais, in the downriver Hunkaminam dialect, that of Yayastal. And the second principle being this idea of one heart, one mind. Lotsamat or Natsamat. And as I've shared before, we can find ways to all of us come to this one heart, one mind understanding. How do we as a group, as we work together, do that work? That's part of our intention with Odyssey. How do we all come to an understanding? But all of us are at different places on our journey of truth and reconciliation and our understanding of the history. And so it's important that we also take that time to how do you unite yourself? How do you connect your head to what we hear in our heart, to what we know is in our heart, as Michael talked about. So this work of Odyssey being the Indigenous focused Pro D Day started with the BC Tripartite Education Agreement that was signed, the newest version signed in 2018. It's an agreement between the provincial government, the federal government, and FNESC, the First Nations Education Steering Committee, on behalf of First Nations in BC. And one of the many things that it pushed for was equality in education between First Nations schools, funding for First Nations students, and that of non-First Nation students. But one of the points that was in there is that there needed to be not less than one instructional day per school year focused on enhancing First Nation student learning outcomes. And that it required in the School Calendar Regulations Act that at least one non-instructional day for the purpose of providing staff with an opportunity to participate in discussions and activities that focus both on enhancing Indigenous student achievement, but also on the work of integrating Indigenous worldviews and perspectives into learning environments. That could be classrooms, that could be the greater school. The learning environment could be me. How do I better integrate Indigenous worldviews and perspectives into my own understanding? And so out of that, the very first one was in May 2020. So this was signed actually in January 2019, but the first day came into being in May 2020, which you may remember was a different time in this world as we tried to come together for professional development in the middle of COVID. And so we ended up, through that first initial work, moving it from from the May Pro D Day back to the February Pro D Day, our district Pro D. And we opened in February 2021 with Odyssey, where we had Sheila McLean, part of the Land Back movement, share with us her keynote of what is anti-racism, what's it doing in a nice field like education. And she joined us virtually from Saskatoon, and teachers from all over the district joined in their schools to engage in her keynote. And then we had a number of virtual presentations that were shared out with everyone across the district. The following year, we came together for 3 keynote presentations, one from Myrna McCallum around trauma-informed practice. We were joined by Kevin Lamoureux, who was also working with us at the time through Ensoling Our Schools. And then we had the incredible honor of finishing the day with Dr. Joanne Archibald and her work around Indigenous story work. And so we continued to work together to further our understanding. And then in 2023, we said, well, we've heard from voices in education and in other worlds and from other areas. But what do the local land-based nations say? And we had the opportunity to hear from Michael Kelly Gabriel, from Deanna Miller from Katzie First Nation, from Chief Alice McKay and Councillor Brenda Morgan from Matsqui, and Chief Harley Chappell from Semiahmoo, where we simply had a conversation. What is it that they want in the world of education for all Indigenous kids? And then we were able to follow that up with further information and an incredible keynote from Len Pierre from Katzie First Nation, who shared the work that he's been doing and the teachings that he has to move us forward. And then staff had time to engage in a number of different learning activities in the afternoon. But what we heard overwhelmingly from everybody was it was time to come back together. The importance of community was vital to the success. And so last year we tried something different. We started off the morning with the Get High X dancers and Drew Hayden Taylor in a presentation to all staff, not just school-based staff, maintenance, everybody, all staff in the district could attend. And even those who couldn't be in person, we found ways to Teams that out to the different locations so that people could participate. The idea around opening our hearts. How do we really get into hearing with our heart and connecting it to what we've learned over the years? And it was an incredible success to be there and watch 1,800 people dancing, whether on the floor or up in the bleachers, as the Get High X dancers led us through. I had the opportunity to once again go through some of my photos, some from Deputy Superintendent Bradford, who had his phone stolen by the Ravens, and an incredible video of a mother and a son together playing with Woody's phone as they move around the floor. And in fact, later stole Director of Communication Joanna Abshire's camera. They were all returned though, it was all good. And just an incredible cultural perspective, because the idea was we have done a lot to teach the truth and look at it from the perspective of the historical wrongs that have been perpetrated. But when we talk about the truth, there is incredible power in the understanding that within the truth is also the strength, the resiliency, the culture that is still present, and what that brings to teachings that we have. And so that journey brings us to Odyssey 2025. It's an invitation to everybody in the district to come and join us on this journey, to come and participate. We will once again be at Odyssey, at the LEC to start the day. And it's important to understand the learning we took upon ourselves as we've gone through the process. And we're thankful for this understanding of Yayastal, bringing everyone together as we have representation from all of those groups sitting at the table to plan the day. The Aboriginal Program, the Langley Teachers Association, the LPVPA, QP 1260, QP 1851, and district staff are all sitting together at the table, planning the upcoming February 10th day. And in fact, we realized today at our meeting, we're 2 months away. It's tough to believe that in 2 months we'll be in February. But it is this idea of Skeko Yayastal, the work we do together. So the day will open at 8:30. We'll have representation. We're working to have representation to welcome us and to open the day in a good way. And then we have another presentation that will start, and it will be around culture and connection. And we think it will be a highlight. And then we'll have time to transition. As we learned last year, it's a longer walk from the LEC to RE Mountain than you think it is, especially if you're trying to transition 2,000 people. And so we'll have some time to transition to get over to RE Mountain and to Peter Ewart, where we'll have all of our workshops. And then we'll have a 75-minute breakout session of workshops to learn from. And then one of the important pieces of feedback we heard was that while the snacks were wonderful and the shorter breaks were great, having that opportunity to sit down and share a meal was important. Culturally, it's important. But I think from a sense of community, it's important as well. And so during the lunch hour and a half, we have lunch provided for everybody who attends. All the food is being provided by Indigenous vendors. So we're able to highlight them within the work they're doing. And we are also working on having a variety of cultural presentations occurring throughout the school that people can partake in and learn more from during that lunch break. And then hopefully we'll be able to feed 2,000 people within that hour and a half. And then we'll be off to a second breakout session where by 2:15 that day, we'll be finished and able to take some time to reflect on what we've learned and to move forward with that in our work that we do. So as of now, we have over 100 different workshops. There are incredible amounts of internal presenters. Our staff throughout the district are sharing their gifts and their skills. And it's focused, we have presenters that are teachers, custodians, clerical staff, SEAs, resource, everybody has put forward presentations so that they can share their knowledge and their wisdom with colleagues. Given that it is the Indigenous Focus Day, we have a strong Indigenous presence within those presentations as well, not just from within the district, but outside presenters who are coming to share their understanding. As I highlighted, the lunch provided by Indigenous caterers and the cultural presentations that we hope to highlight and carry on from the morning presentation as well. And this is really what it is all about. These are pictures from 2 young dancers at the Staloo powwow who are happy and proud of who they are and where they come from. And that's what we want for students. And that's the goal of Odyssey. And this is why we invite you all to be there. That ultimately the work we're going to do is going to lead to students who are secure in who they are, who feel safe, who know who they are and where they come from, and are proud of who they are. And so I hope you'll all make time to join us on February 10th. It is a Monday this year. Please take note. Unfortunately, we had to switch our Pro D days in order to ensure that we had space at the LEC. But we hope that you will join us here on the journey of our learning together. And I will open it up for any questions.
Thank you very much, Mike, for being here and for that presentation. I've already noted it on my calendar. As you were speaking, I entered it. So do any trustees have any questions or comments? No? Okay, all right. So thanks again for being here. And could I please have a mover that the Board of Education receives the report on Odyssey Professional Development Day 2025 for information as presented? Moved by Trustee Dickinson, seconded by Trustee Ward. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thanks again. All right, moving along now to 8.2 Northeast Latimer catchment boundaries. Am I passing this over to you, Superintendent, again? Yep. Okay.
So speaking of journeys, we've had a long one. We've just witnessed the release of the name for Josette Dandran Elementary, and the work has been moving along behind the scenes with Assistant Superintendent Molino and his team of transition folks that have been working on changing boundaries to incorporate the new school catchment. So I'll let him go over the process and where we landed as far as catchments in the area.
Thank you, Superintendent Gill. And so for the purposes of this presentation, we will continue to call it Northeast Latimer Elementary while we know it has a new name, Josette Dandurand Elementary. At the same time, trustees and members of the public who were part of the 2 phases of consultation will have seen many of these slides before. So with that in mind, I will certainly move through them at a pace, but again, if there are any questions, please, happy to answer them at the end. Again, acknowledging our traditional territories that as we gathered this evening, that we do so on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Matsqui, Kwantlen, Katzie, and Semiahmoo First Nations. In terms of agenda, just a brief review of growth in the Ari Mountain catchment region, a review of the process up to this point today, some of the key themes that came from parent community consultation, again, which along with the data helped provide the key considerations and goals. And then finally, the proposed boundary change options and actions. And then, of course, for the trustees, the recommended motions. We started each presentation, whether during the consultation or with trustees, with this slide as a reminder to the community, to trustees, and to district staff that while the numbers certainly guide us in terms of the data and proper planning as a district, it's that ultimately Langley schools are meant for our students and they impact our families. And so the decisions we made along this process, we were very conscious of the impact that it had, certainly beyond just the numbers. You may recall this slide, again, showing the growth over the last 3 years from the 2021 school year to the 2023-2024 school year. And again, very dramatic numbers in every school in the slope at elementary, middle, and secondary. In terms of that growth, we see that projections support that another elementary school was certainly needed. And that's why the ministry then announced Northeast Latimer, and the district's been working on that again since 2021. In looking at the growth projections, however, we also gleaned information that helped us move forward. And the three main conclusions from the growth projections are that Donna Gabriel Robbins is the fastest growing elementary catchment on the slope, followed by Willoughby, and that Langley Meadows is the only catchment on the slope that would see falling enrollment based on, again, current boundaries. Looking closely also at the middle schools, we see that the growth at the middle school was, again, relatively balanced, certainly for the next 3 or 4 years, and the planned opening of Smith Middle and Smith Secondary schools. And so with that, the main conclusion is that both schools, again, growing approximately evenly, and wanting to be cautious then in terms of what that looks like in terms of catchments regarding the new elementary. In terms of process, again, there were 2 phases. The first phase, we met with RE Mountain families at every single school in the RE Mountain family, with the exception of RE Mountain and PEMS was actually done together, Peter Ewart. That was done together online. And again, we had an American Sign Language interpreter assist us in that presentation. We then focused in after getting all that feedback on the 3 catchments that we believe would be the most impacted by any changes, any recommendations. And so then we had a second phase where we met at each of those elementary schools, again, putting out the invitation to all families in the Willoughby Slope and to the larger community as well. In that October to December period, district staff reviewed the in-person feedback as well as email feedback. From the feedback, we heard and saw the need for 2 surveys to be completed. One, a survey of before and after school childcare needs, and another in terms of cross-boundary families at the 2 overflow schools, Langley Meadows and Lynn Phipps. And with that, then, as up until this meeting, we then fine-tuned boundary options and plans based again on that balance between data and feedback. In terms of phase 1, a brief summary, we collected questions and comments at each meeting. There were 26 additional emails, and the themes that came out in order are what you see there. Focus again on numbers 2 and 3. Though when it came to single topics, the 2 most important topics we heard loud and clear were, what about before and after school childcare? And what about grandfathering and transitions processes? In terms of phase 2, the next 3 meetings, we also collected comments at each of those 3 meetings, and we had 25 additional emails. And the themes that emerge, again, obviously you could imagine the top one was, what about the various boundary options that we presented, and just very specific questions there. But if you look at the next 2 topics, again, we see before and after school childcare and grandfathering transitions processes, again, were by far the most important themes that came from the feedback from the community. And then along that came questions about transportation changes. In terms of phase 2, some of the specific feedback, again, and these are not specific quotes that came from any one individual, but rather comments that were amalgamated and representative of the main themes that came to. And again, trustees in your package, you'll have all of that data that you can access at any time. I live on the west side of 200th Street between 72nd Avenue and 76th Avenue. And I don't want my child to move to the new school or any other school because I'm concerned about before and after school care, transportation, and distance to the school, as well as transitioning to a different school. I live close to the new school and I'm concerned about securing before and after school childcare. I already have a before and after school care plan arranged for my child. I live on the east side of 202B, very close to the new school. I want to attend the new school as I am so close to it, and I'm concerned about walkability, traffic, and transportation if I stay at my current school. I live in the Willoughby Slope, and this will be the third transition for them in a few years. I'm concerned about their transition and the impact it will have on my child. They will lose their friends and sense of community. I live in the Willoughby Slope and I want to stay at my current school because my child has diverse needs and I'm concerned about their transition and the impact it will have on my child. They are being supported right now. I want the district to approve grandfathering or cross-boundary applications so that my child can continue at their current school, even though it may not be their catchment school in September 2025. I want the district to approve grandfathering for students currently attending an overflow school, such as Lynn Phipps Elementary or Langley Meadows Community School. I am okay with my child transitioning to a different school as long as I can secure before and after school care and have that arranged in a timely manner prior to the new school year. Again, you can see those themes emerging in different ways, in different forms, from different perspectives. And so, in terms of the summary, in terms of the before and after school childcare survey results, again, some very important information for us. As mentioned, we heard loud and clear that this was a key topic, and we specifically focused on the three schools that would be impacted the most: Donna Gabriel Robbins, Willoughby, and Langley Meadows. We had 541 students amongst all three schools represented in the survey responses. Of that, we found that more than 215 families had full or part-time before and after school childcare, and more than 280 families were still seeking full or part-time before and after school care. And that could look like a child on a wait list, or the family couldn't find a provider, or there was currently they were adjusting with family and just making things work with neighbors, etc. In conclusion, that we draw for our purposes, while ST35 cannot solve all of these childcare needs, the district can still make it a priority to help create more before and after school childcare spaces in Langley schools. So the key considerations from the data and the feedback that really guided us in terms of where we landed. As much as possible, have students attend their catchment schools. That was very clear. We've gone through several transitions on the Willoughby Slope, and again, we want to minimize that. At the same time, the data was very clear. We had to decrease the Donna Gabriel Robbins Elementary catchment. We had to decrease the Willoughby Elementary catchment. We had to grow the Langley Meadows Elementary catchment. And we had to ensure that Northeast Latimer did not open full and that it had space for future growth. And finally, we had to maintain the balanced enrollment between the two middle schools, Pemson and Yorkson Creek, because of those growth projections. We also had to ensure then, we heard loud and clear from the feedback, that as many before and after school spaces were created at Northeast Latimer to meet demand, and that families new to the Langley Meadows catchment had potentially some additional options. And we also had heard loud and clear that a before and after school childcare transition plan needed to be made as early as possible. Of course, we also heard that location of main roads and other geographic features mattered. And we also needed to consider the location or catchment of the next possible elementary school, which again could possibly be Southwest Latimer. And so I'd like to show you then catchment by catchment what some of those changes look like. You'll see the proposed changes showing up with a red glowing line. So current boundaries. Between Northeast Latimer and Willoughby, you'll see that red glowing line there. Northeast Latimer in green, Willoughby in the middle in red. And the feedback, this very much aligned with the feedback where The options showed families that were quite close to Northeast Latimer, potentially having, remaining at Willoughby. And again, we made some adjustments so that families closest to Northeast Latimer get to attend Northeast Latimer. Between Donna Gabriel Robbins and Langley Meadows, you'll see on the bottom left-hand corner, we started at we currently the boundaries at 69th Avenue, and we moved that north to 72nd Avenue, which again, a major street, and making sure that as much as possible, we didn't go beyond that. And finally, between Northeast Latimer and Donna Gabriel Robbins, we continued the current line along 80th Avenue to 200th Street. We then moved south on 200th Street to 75A Avenue. We then moved across 75A Avenue to 198B, and down 198B to 74th, and across 74th to 196th Street. This change, again, allowed that the families, especially in between 72nd and 74th and 75A, to remain at Donna Gabriel Robbins, their current elementary school, and minimizing their transitions, especially if that is to potentially be a site for Southwest Latimer in that approximate area. So again, trying to minimize those transitions. At the same time, again, ensuring that Northeast Latimer did not open full. And so again, I just wanted to show you this map with current boundaries, and so that you could actually then compare that to the new proposed boundaries. Again, changes to Willoughby Elementary, Donna Gabriel Robbins Elementary, and Langley Meadows Elementary catchments. No changes to Richard Bulpett, R.C. Garnett, and Lynn Fripps catchments. And so with that, there are a few additional details, again, based very much on the data and the feedback. That current cross-boundary students at Langley Meadows and Lynn Fripps are allowed to remain in these two schools if they chose to. These two schools were the overflow schools and had a large number of students there. And again, this option means that a large number of families get to stay in their overflow schools, their current schools, if they so choose. Students who wish to return to their catchments school from Langley Meadows and Lynn Fripps may do so. At the same time, again, there are a much smaller number of students that are attending the other Willoughby elementary schools that are cross-boundary. Much more difficult in terms of this, but we are able to offer them the ability, we're able to offer them the ability to at least apply as cross-boundary, and then we'll be able to go on a case-by-case basis, depending on space, and if possible, allow those families to stay in their current schools if possible. Ultimately, both the changes above really are meant to minimize impacts on families. Again, we limited the impact of proposed boundary changes because there were different ideas that were certainly on the table that we shared with the public. But again, I think we took a more conservative route so that we could then, again, allow families to minimize their transitions. A few more changes, again, based on the feedback in terms of before and after school childcare, to work to create before and after school care at Northeast Latimer, to ensure a faster timeline is in place for transitioning to Northeast Latimer. To do that, the district will take over before and after school care at Northeast Latimer, and it has already begun conversations with Fraser Health. We're also working to expand before and after school childcare at Langley Meadows for families near the catchment, and again, working with already having conversations with Fraser Health. And in terms of the middle school boundaries, wanting to maintain that balance of growth. So the plan then will be to maintain the current middle school boundaries that will not impact any families for September 2025. For September 2026, Northeast Latimer students who are in grade 5 then, those students who live north of 80th will continue to attend Yorkson Creek as their older siblings would have. Students who live south of 80th will continue to attend Peter Ewart Middle just as their older siblings would have. Again, this does maintain balanced growth amongst the two schools, and it keeps families at the same middle school. In terms of all of those changes and the impacts, again, doing our best using the data and projections, this is what we foresee the numbers being in terms of September 2025, achieving all of our goals of certainly allowing for growth in the fastest growing elementary schools, allowing for stability at Langley Meadows where there was some potential loss of students. And then again, creating some space in the other schools that again allows them to be overflow schools as the Willoughby slope continues to grow. So with that, questions from trustees?
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Moreno. Is there any questions from, okay, there's no questions? Okay, all right. I just wanted to, no, it's okay. I've got it here. Thank you. I was just looking. Thank you very much just wanted to mention, thank you for all of your hard work, because I know that your team has been very hard at work on this for quite some time, and it's been, I know you've been in communication with the board and keeping us keeping in touch with the process. And just wanted to mention that I know it's been a really difficult process, and it's really hard to try to work with, and you know, there's always going to be, of course, people that feel that they weren't included, and I do know from many questions from our board that you've done everything you can to try to be as inclusive as possible, and make sure that you listen and to, you know, to every concern that's there, and even with the childcare at Langley Meadows, and appreciate that. So just wanted to give you kudos for that, because I know it's a huge job to do this process. So so trustees, we do have before you several recommended motions on this, 4 to be exact. Now, I just quickly consulted with Secretary Treasurer Isley about our first recommended motion, because it was in your package, it says Northeast Elementary. But because we've now announced the new school name for this motion, we'll use Josette Dandurand Elementary, unless anybody has any opposition to that. But so could I please have a mover for the first recommended motion that the Board of Education approves the catchment area for Josette Dandurand Elementary School be created effective September 2025 as identified below, north from the intersection of the Trans-Canada Highway number 1 and 196th Street, Langley, Surrey border, travel east along Highway number 1, south side only, to the intersection of the line with 202B Street. East, travel south down the line of 202B Street, west side only, to 84th Avenue, travel east along 84th Avenue, south side only, to 204 Street, then travel south along the line of 204 Street, west side only, to 80th Avenue, south, travel west along 80th Avenue, north side only, to 200th Street, travel south along 200th Street, west side only, to 75A Avenue, go west along 75A Avenue, north side only, to 198B Street, travel south down 198B Street, west side only, to 74th Avenue, travel west along 74th Avenue to 196th Street, west, travel north along 196th Street, line east side only, to the Trans-Canada Highway number 1. Do I have a mover, please? Moved by trustee Dickinson, seconded by trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, next motion recommended is that the Board of Education approves the catchment area for Willoughby Elementary School be adjusted effective September 2025 as identified below, north from the intersection of Trans-Canada Highway number 1 and the line of 202B Street, travel east on Highway number 1, south side only, to 208th Street, east, travel south down the line of 208th Street, west side only, to 78th Avenue, travel east along 84th Avenue, south side only, to 204th Street, then travel south along the line of 204th Street, west side only, to 80th Avenue, south, travel west along the line of 78th Avenue, north side only, to 206th Street, go north along the line of 206th Street, east side only to 80th Avenue. Go west along 80th Avenue, north side only to 204th Street. West, travel north along 204th Street, east side only to 84th Avenue. Travel west along 84th Avenue, north side only to 202B Street. Go north along the line of 202B Street, east side only to the intersection of the Trans-Canada Highway number 1. Do I have a mover, please? Moved by Vice Chair Wilson, seconded by Trustee Dickinson. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. All right, our next motion recommended is that the Board of Education approves the catchment area for Donna Gabriel Robbins Elementary School be adjusted effective September 2025 as identified below. North from the intersection of 74th Avenue and 196th Street, travel east along 74th Avenue, south side only to 198B Street, travel north along 198B Street, east side only to 75A Avenue, travel east along 75A Avenue, south side only to 200th Street, go north on 200th Street, east side only to 80th Avenue, travel east along 80th Avenue, south side only to 206th Street, go south along the line of 206th Street, west side only to 78th Avenue, go east along 78th Avenue, south side only to 208th Street, go south along 208th Street, west side only to 74B Avenue, go east along the line of 74B Avenue, south side only to 216th Street, east, travel south, then southeast along 216th Street, west side only to Glover Road, travel southwest along Glover Road, north side only to the Langley Bypass. South, go west along the Langley Bypass, north side only to 204th Street, go north along 204th Street, east side only, and continue north and northeast along the Willowbrook Connector, east side only. Continue northeast, then north along 208th Street, east side only to 68th Avenue. Go west along 68th Avenue, north side only to 202B Street. Go north along 202B Street, east side only. Continue north along 202A Street to 74th Avenue, east side only. Travel west along 74th Avenue, north side only to 200th Street. Go south along 200th Street, west side only to 72nd Avenue. Go west along 72nd Avenue, north side only to 196th Street. West, go north along 196th Street, east side only to 74th Avenue. That was a long. Do I have a mover, please? Moved by Trustee Fox, seconded by Trustee Dickinson. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, we have one more. The next motion is that the Board of Education approves the catchment area for Langley Meadows Elementary School be adjusted effective September 2025 as identified below. North from the intersection of 72nd Avenue and 196th Street, travel east along 72nd Avenue to 200th Street, south side only. East, travel south along 200th Street to Langley Bypass, west side only. South, travel west, then southwest along Langley Bypass to the intersection with Fraser Highway, north side only. Go northwest along Fraser Highway until 196th Street, north side only. West, travel north along 196th Street to 72nd Avenue, east side only. Do I have a mover, please? Moved by Vice Chair Wilson, seconded by Trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, yeah, I'm starting to not be able to talk. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. All right, thank you. So moving along, it's your turn to talk now, Secretary Treasurer Isley.
Thank you, Chair. In your package, as in past years, there's a plan on the process for the preparation of the 25-26 preliminary budget for the school district. There's a lot of information in the package on that process, the methodologies, but wanted to focus a little bit just on the timeline tonight. But if there's other questions, obviously we can address those. Starting, obviously, we start with the amended budget as the starting point for the next budget for the operating year. These timelines are the timelines that traditionally have happened, and just have to let the board know that there is a potential that the amended budget timelines may be delayed. We were informed by the ministry that due to the change in government and getting time with Treasury Board, the recalc announcement that normally happens just before the Christmas break has been delayed to sometime in January. There is a 60-day period after that that budgets are due. So depending on when that announcement happens could dictate the timeline of the budget. Staff are still trying to work to get the budget done for the February 28th timeline to fit with our meeting schedule, but that is potentially subject to change depending on when those funding announcements are made. So with that being said, we've already started the conversation over October to this month with our central departments. November, we had budgets being done with our school-based principals, and district leadership team are currently working through all that information, and trustees will see their first update hopefully at the January 21st Finance and Facilities Committee meeting. Hopefully there will be some more information on the timing of when the funding announcement will be made for that. Then the plan currently is to bring back a pretty much finished budget, hopefully for the Finance and Facilities meeting on the 18th, and bring that to the board on the 25th at the public meeting for it to be filed what normally would be the due date of February 28th. During that time frame, also January to April, we will be doing our usual consultation with our stakeholders, and then in the February, April, usually through March is the one we have normally done the budget survey, which we have done the last number of years as part of our consultation with the public, which we've had very good response to the last couple of years. The preliminary budget for 25-26 really gets it informed on the ministry funding announcement. There should not be any delays for those. This was a one-time thing just due to forming of the new government and Treasury Board processes. We do our process February through April with our central departments, and we put out our budget allocations to our schools in April for them to create the school-based budgets, with the district leadership team providing the budget and updates to the board at finance and facilities meetings February through May, with the goal of bringing the budget for the 25-26 school year to the public board meeting on May 7th. We do typically do first and second readings at that point in time, and then have a open house where the public can come and ask questions and put in feedback, which is scheduled for June 3rd. And the plan is to have the third and final reading of the budget on the 17th to be able to submit in time for the June 30th requirement. So with that, I hand it back to the chair, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Secretary Treasurer Isley. Any questions or comments for? No. Okay, all right. Could I please have a mover for the recommended motion that the Board of Education approve the budget process and timeline 2025-2026 preliminary operating budget as presented? Moved by Trustee Dickinson, seconded by Trustee Rye. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Right, moving along. We had no new business added to our agenda. So next I will ask for trustee comments, if any trustees. Should I start on my right with you, Trustee Ward?
I just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you. If you don't put your mic on, I believe the video doesn't hear, so. Trustee Dickinson?
Yes, just a big thank you to all the staff and everybody that has been working so hard already this fall and into the winter season. And I hope you all have a wonderful winter break. And everybody here enjoys their break and yeah, Merry Christmas.
Vice Chair Wilson.
Great. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming. Merry Christmas. I know in the schools this time of year can be very challenging. And so just hang in there like you're getting close. You can do it. And I also just want to say that I was realizing when there wasn't a lot of questions being asked that, as trustees, we do have finance and facility. We have many other meetings where like catchment areas and all of these other things are talked about a lot and informed by, the board. And so sometimes when it seems like I realize after, oh, it didn't seem like we asked many questions. We've seen different presentations and asked a lot of questions beforehand. So please know that we do take this all seriously and have input and value all of your feedback on everything that you have given feedback on. So thank you and have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Trustee Rai.
Yeah, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And for me, it's an awesome way to end the year. As a first-time board trustee, I had the privilege of naming a school, which was awesome. So yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you.
Trustee Fox.
There you go. Thank you. I echo those words. Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you to staff. Got a couple of things, major things taken care of today, which is good, especially with respect to the new school. I've had the opportunity in the last couple of weeks to get into the Christmas spirit. I was at a Christmas concert today at Belmont, and I went to the breakfast at Shortreed Elementary. There was well over 800 people at Shortreed. It was quite a lot of energy in the building, in the gym, and it was really fun to see. And I also got to participate, and I'll give anybody a lesson on this, in a human library presentation. Now, if you've never been to a human library presentation, it's something you need to do. But I participated in that. It was quite enjoyable talking to kids, interacting with students at the secondary level. So thank you. Merry Christmas to my colleagues at the table here as well, and the colleagues over there. Thank you for your work, and Merry Christmas to you.
Trustee Neufeld.
Yeah, just happy holidays, and we'll see you guys in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to echo what my fellow trustees have said, just I hope everybody has a really happy holidays and some time to relax and enjoy with family and friends. I'm not even close to being ready. I think I said the same thing at last year's meeting, but I'm literally not. I don't even have a decoration. We'll get there though. But I hope you all do get some nice time to relax and just enjoy some time to not be so busy as we all are. And I also just wanted to make mention that this past month, I heard from the Minister of Education. I just had a very brief, quick little call. She wanted to introduce herself. So she's introducing herself to the Minister of Education and Childcare. Sorry, I forgot to add that. So just a very quick little intro call. It was nothing formal. And then I also heard from the Minister of Infrastructure, Bowen Ma, introducing herself. So I was very impressed that they've reached out already and of course I stressed the importance of lots more schools. So anyways, I hope that we hear a lot more from them in the future, but I was very impressed that they've already reached out and introduced themselves. So hopefully we'll get to know them just as we did the past minister. And so anyways, moving along then, I won't keep you anymore. We'll move to question period. So forgive me while I read this here. Question period is provided at board meetings. The purpose is to ensure that those present in the audience have an opportunity to obtain clarification concerning business conducted during the meeting. Priority will be given to responding to one question per person before considering further questions from any individual. The following will help public develop questions for question period at a board meeting that is keeping with the goal of a respectful and focused meeting. Questions need to be directed at this to the chair and not to staff, need to be related directly to the topic on the agenda, need to be succinct, focused, and not be a statement, may not be asked that are related to personnel or directed at an individual trustee, may not be asked that are related to contract negotiations, and the questioner shall provide their name so that it can be reflected in the minutes. All of the above are directions provided for in board policy number 7, board operations. The chair may answer, may defer to staff, or indicate a question may not be in keeping with the above guidelines. The board appreciates the public's interest and wants to ensure a professional meeting is conducted with question period focused on providing guests with the clarification they seek. Trustees also welcome questions from members of the public. Apart from question period, our contact information is available on the school district website. Having said all that, are there any questions? I don't see anybody lined up. So, okay. So, I would like to ask trustees, please, if someone would like to make a motion to adjourn. Moved by Vice Chair Wilson. Oh, sorry, the motion would be to adjourn at 8:40 p.m. So moved by Vice Chair Wilson and seconded by Trustee Ward. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.